everyone, and welcome to today's video. This video is part of my Declutter series where I attempt to make my too big of a collection a little bit more manageable for a average makeup lover person like me. I do not need this much makeup since I'm not a makeup artist, and I'm also partially doing this because we're preparing our house to a move. We haven't yet found a new place, but we're planning on moving in the near future, hopefully sooner than later. So today's video is going to be about my e.l.f. products, and the reason why I chose e.l.f. is because I found this age-old palette in the back of my drawer. I don't even know when I've used this the last time. It must be a couple of years at least, and honestly I have no idea how old this is. So that made me think, how many e.l.f. products do I have in my collection that I'm currently not using? Many of them are probably expired, so I need to go through everything and see what will I still use, what has expired, and what I won't use and can give to friends and family or donate. I will never throw any products away if they're still usable, but I will certainly try to make my e.l.f. collection a little bit more manageable. If you are unfamiliar with e.l.f. as a brand, they are an American company founded in 2004. I believe most of their products aren't made in China, but they are an extremely affordable brand. Most of their products start from like $1 upwards, and they have frequent sales, so you can get them for a good deal. I will do this speed review style, so I'll try to give my opinions on these products as we go along. So let's get into it. So this is majority of my e.l.f. collection. I may have some lip balm or lip scrub still somewhere, but I could not find them. And I have way more brushes than this, but I just took a couple of brushes out as an example. I will not be decluttering any of my e.l.f. brushes. I love them all, and I'm certainly going to keep them. But I will go through with you guys what I have, and then we'll go through what we're ready to part with here, what is going to the trash because it's expired, what can be passed on to friends or family or donated, and what am I keeping. So let's get into it. So let's go to the brushes first, since I am keeping all of them. These are some of my favorite e.l.f. brushes. This is their small tapered brush. I love this one. It is perfect for setting the under eye or a highlight. There's multiple functions on this. This is really one of the e.l.f.'s best brushes that I own. So definitely keeping this. I already have a couple of them, and if I should lose one, I would definitely repurchase. The same goes for this brush, which is their powder blurring brush. I use this for foundation and also for powder, but I think a lot of their foundation brushes are excellent. This is just one of them. They're quite dense and perfect for applying foundation, and I usually use a fluffier brush for powder since I don't use powder foundation. I just use setting powders, but this is perfect for a foundation, and I will definitely keep on repurchasing these as well. Then I have a couple of these used to be $1 or something. I'm not sure if they're more now, but these are a couple of their, like the original eye brushes. I have the eye crease brush and the blending eye brush. I have multiples of both of these, and they just are really good at blending in your makeup. If you're a beginner, I highly recommend getting these because I think they will work well with any sort of eye look that you're practicing on, or even later in your makeup career sort of thing. These are really good. I feel like they're totally worth the price. Granted, they do come apart now and then. I have had to re-glue a couple of them, but other than that, I really do enjoy them and think they're so worth the price. Next up, I have a couple of expired products. This glitter primer is age old. I'm not even going to open it. I rarely used it. I don't feel like I need glitter primer. I guess I rarely do looks that require like a glitter primer underneath. And if I do, I've gravitated towards the NYX one more. But in general, I just use a tacky eye primer or concealer before glitter, and that seems to work well for me. So I will not repurchase this, but I do feel like it's another product that's excellent for the price. I just have no use for it, and it has clearly expired, so I have to throw it away. Another product I feel like has expired is this one from e.l.f. and this is their Molten Liquid Eyeshadow in the shade Rose Gold. This is really a pretty color, and I did use it quite a bit back in the day, but it is really old and I think it's time for it to go. But let me see if I can swatch it for you guys. And here is a swatch of that shade, a Rose Gold. It is really pretty. I think I would probably repurchase, but I just use these kind of liquid eyeshadows quite rarely, and perhaps it's not worth spending money on more of them. But maybe I could get this one again if I feel like adding another liquid eyeshadow into my collection. It is a really pretty shade, but it has gotten bad. You can clearly tell it's too dry to apply, so it's got to go. But I feel like this is a really good product from e.l.f. as well. I think I'm going to move to e.l.f.'s eye products next. I have a couple of their smudge pots. This one is in the shade Cruisin' Chic, and I feel like this was one of their original like ride or die products that I got from them. A really beautiful shade. This is like 3 years old, so it's got to go. It is way too old, but I'm gonna see if I can swatch a couple of these. I have them in the shade Cruisin' Chic. Then I had the shade Ain't That Sweet, as well as the shade Brownie Points. So let's see if I can swatch them for you guys. They're all super old, so they're definitely expired. Well, they've definitely expired. They're really hard to swatch, but here are the shades. I don't know if you can see the Cruisin' Chic is over here. It is a beautiful taupe. Then that is Brownie Points, and I couldn't get much out of that Ain't That Sweet. I couldn't get much color out of it, but back in the day, they were really beautiful. I don't know if e.l.f. sells these anymore, but if they do, they're totally worth the price, just like many of other e.l.f. products. I'm also going to keep the e.l.f. cleansing cloths. There's a couple of them left. I'm going to actually use them for these swatches that I'm now using. There aren't many left in here. I probably wouldn't repurchase. I don't purchase cleansing cloths anymore, but I will use this one up. It is nice for the price. The next eye makeup item are the bite-size eyeshadows. This one is in Rose Water, this one is in Hot Jalapeno, and this one is in Truffles. I am keeping all of these. I feel like the quality is really good for the price. They are $3 a piece, which I think is really good price. There are some variations, like one of these shades was not as easy to blend. It was the third one, the green one, but then again the second one, the green one, is absolutely the star of this palette. It has some beautiful pigmentation. All of the shades in the Truffle work great, and then Rose Water is a bit on the softer side, but it's still a beautiful everyday palette. I have these three. I'm definitely keeping them. I recently made an Instagram post about these shades, so if you're interested, go ahead and look on my Instagram account at It's Taya Rose, and you will find more information about these three, but I'm definitely going to keep all of them. Another two eye products I'm keeping are these two from e.l.f. This is their Tea for Two eyeshadow duo, and this one is in the shade Peach Squad. I feel like these are really good quality as well. I believe they're still available. These are great for travel. They're a little bit chunky, but they have some excellent pigmentation, and especially the shimmer shades are amazing. So I'm keeping both of them. The next two eyeshadows that are definitely past their prime are two cream eyeshadows from e.l.f.'s Long Lasting Luscious eyeshadow line. This one is in the shade Celebration, and this one, I'm not sure the shade name has come off, but it is a gold tone one. Let's see if I can swatch these for you guys. The Celebration one had dried so much I couldn't get much out of it, but the golden tone had still some kick to it. They're both really beautiful, and I remember having a third one of long-lasting lustrous eyeshadow somewhere, but I couldn't find it. I must have decluttered it earlier, but these were really nice. I don't think I need these in my collection anymore, and they're expired, so they have got to go, but the shades are beautiful. One eyeshadow palette that I've had in my collection for I don't know how long is the Baked eyeshadow palette from e.l.f. I'm not sure if they sell this anymore. I remember there being like zero pigmentation on this years ago, so it's probably not gotten any better when it's just been lying in the back of my cabinet. So I'm going to throw it away because it is old. It has got to be at least 3 years old, if not more. But let me see if I can get any color from these. I do remember them being like very, very soft. Oh, there's some color coming off, that they feel quite dry on the skin. So these are some of the shades. I mean, they look really pretty. They're just very dry, and I prefer a kind of creamier formula. But if you're into baked eyeshadows, maybe you like this one. I am just going to let go of this since it is so old. I think I'm also going to pass on my baked eyeshadow trios from e.l.f. I remember loving these several years ago. I think this one in the shade Brown Bonanza was probably my favorite. I think when I started watching YouTube, Kathleen Lights had created an eye look based on this, and I think I purchased it because of that. This one is in the shade Smoky Sea, and I don't think I ever used it. I'm not entirely sure where I purchased this. These colors are just not right for me. And then I have it in Lavender Lava, which is a beautiful one, but I no longer really use baked eyeshadows, so I'm just going to pass these three on. I also had one more, a baked eyeshadow. This is in the shade Bark, and I think I purchased this as one as well because of that Kathleen Lights e.l.f. video. It is a beautiful shade. I just don't have any use for baked eyeshadow, so I'm going to pass it on, but I think it's quite old as well, but the color is definitely there. I believe e.l.f. was really known for their baked products in the past. There's a couple of highlighters and a blush. These are also quite old, I feel like, especially this one and this one. This one is newer, but these highlights, I feel like, for baked products, that's all right. I still use baked highlighters. I'm just not sure how old these are, so I might actually give up on this one. It is in the shade Moonlight Pearls. It's got to be at least 3 years old. It is very old, so I'm gonna try to swatch it. And this one I remember purchasing is one of the first purchases that I made also because of that Kathleen Lights video. It's called Pinktastic, and I believe I used it as a highlight or eyeshadow or something. Whatever Kathleen Lights told us to do, I probably did. And this one is a newer one. It is in the shade Apricot Glow. I don't think it's that old, so I think I'm going to keep that. Let's see what the swatches are like. So all of these felt really dry, and maybe if I scrape the top layer off, I might get a better swatch. But here they are. That one is the Moonlight one, and then there's that Pinktastic, and the last one is the Apricot Glow. They're all very dry. I think I'm going to pass on the Moonlight and the Pinktastic. I'm going to see if I can scrape some off of this Apricot Glow one because it's unlike a lot of highlighters. I don't think I have this shade at all, so I might want to keep it for that reason, but I'm going to pass these two on. They're very old and I couldn't get much out of them. I'm also going to pass this e.l.f. I think this is sort of potted liquid eyeshadow. It doesn't say anywhere anymore. I have never used it. I think I featured this in my products I no longer buy video. It just says black on it. It's a black eyeliner that I never used, and now it's completely dry, so it has got to go. But I won't be repurchasing. Like I said in my things that I no longer buy video, I don't use these kind of products, so I shouldn't be purchasing them anymore. I also think I'm going to pass on this e.l.f. High Definition Under Eye Setting Powder. I just don't use it. There's nothing wrong with it. It is kind of a white cast one though, so if you have deeper skin tone, I don't think this will work for you, but I never use this, so I'm just going to pass it on to someone. Maybe someone will actually get some use out of it. And speaking of powder products, I have a one here from e.l.f. I think this is their sheer setting powder, and I don't think I've ever used this even. Yep, still has a sticker on it. I just don't use these kind of loose setting powders, and I believe since this kind of under eye setting powder left a white cast, I decided not to use this one either. So I'm going to pass it on. Maybe someone will get some use out of it because I will not use it. If you've been in the YouTube makeup world for a while, do you remember when the Prism eyeshadow palettes were the thing? I think I purchased 2 of them. Again, probably because Kathleen Light said they're excellent. I have them in the shade Sunset, and let's see what the other one is. The other one is Naked, and especially this Naked one, I feel like that was the one Kathleen Lights was talking about, and that's why I purchased it. But it has some beautiful shades. Let me see if I can swatch a couple of them for you. I just no longer use it, so I'm going to pass it on. But it has this kind of sentimental value for me since it's one of the first palettes that I ever purchased. And that was because Kathleen Light said it is good. And honestly, it is good. There's nothing wrong with it. I just no longer use it. I have so many neutral palettes that this one I just no longer use. And the Sunset one had kind of pinkier tones, if I remember correctly. Let's see if I can swatch some of them for you guys. There you go. Like, that looks really pretty. But I just no longer use these Prism eyeshadows. I have so many eyeshadows, so I'm just going to pass these on to someone who might have some use for them. Let's swatch this one as well. It looks like a really pretty shade. Yes, it is. There are some beautiful shades. I just don't use them anymore, so I'm going to let go of these 2. And then I have their Matte for Matte eyeshadow palette that I don't think I ever used. It looks like I've swatched a couple of shades from it. Let's see if I can. It has a lot of pigment, but also it feels kind of dry, kind of crumbly, which is probably why I never liked it. I remember people loving these things. Well, this shade felt a little bit more buttery. I remember people really liking these, but personally, it's just not for me. I don't gravitate towards all matte looks, and I have better matte formulas than this, so I'm just gonna let Matte for Matte go as well. Now let's talk about the palette that started this declutter. This is Sugar Kiss by e.l.f. I'm not even sure how long ago this was available. It's gotta be a really, really long time ago. I remember purchasing it years ago. I just purchased it because my eyeshadow collection at a time wasn't that large. I only had a couple of eyeshadows, and I felt like I really wanted to get like colorful eyeshadows and colorful looks. And of course, in the beginning of my makeup enthusiast career, I went for the huge palettes because that had everything I ever needed. I remember really liking the green shades, and now that I look at them, they still kind of interest me. Only I think this product is too old and there's not a whole lot of pigmentation. But I remember creating some looks with these kind of green or turquoise colors and really liking them. But like I said, I think this has expired, so it's got to go. But I wonder how old this Sugar Kiss collection is because I have not seen it in years. But I have some sentimental value on this, but my collection is too large, so I'm gonna have to let it go. But it was amazing back in the day. One of the newer e.l.f. items to my collection is this e.l.f. Illuminating Moisturizer with SPF 15. And I've really liked this one. I believe I purchased this earlier this year, so it's not that old. It says it's expiring in 2022, so there's a lot left in this. So I'm definitely going to keep this and keep on using it. It did feel kind of light. Let's see if I can swatch it for you guys. Here is a quick swatch of that. As you can see, there's quite a bit of white cast. If you are of deeper skin tone, I don't think you would like this. If you are really pale, I think you'll like this. I don't see much of an illumination factor in it, but it is moisturizing. It's got a tiny bit of SPF, so underneath makeup or other SPF, I think it could work. But I'm going to hold on to it and keep using it. I don't have many e.l.f. lip products. I've been decluttering them throughout the years. I've never really enjoyed most of them. I did find one unopened one. This is from their Alyssa Ashley collab. This is a lip gloss in Nude Rose. I've never opened it. So let's open it now and see what it's like. I hope it's not too old because the shade looks really pretty. It's like ready for the fall. So I'm definitely going to put this into use now. I have to check how old this is, this Alyssa Ashley collection. If it's several years old, then definitely I'm not going to use it. But I feel like it's not that old. So I'm definitely going to put this into use for the fall. It looks like a beautiful fall shade. The rest of the e.l.f. products I have left are all face products. I have these shine eraser kind of eye blotting sheets. I'll keep these. I don't think I'll use them that often. There's a couple of left, but I have them in my purse just in case. I have very dry skin, so oiliness is usually not a problem for me. But maybe sometimes in the summer I have a slight bit of dew on the forehead that I might want to erase with these shine erasers, so I'll keep these for now. I also have this e.l.f. eyebrow kit that is so old. I think I'm going to have to give up on it, especially since it has that cream product on it. I have used it quite a bit. I do remember liking it, but I'm more of a eyebrow pencil girl. So I think I'm going to throw this away since it is so old, and I won't be repurchasing. I prefer a pencil type eyebrow products. Another product I'm clearly ready to part with is e.l.f.'s pressed mineral bronzer. I remember this being like a super powdery formula. This one is in the shade Baked Peach, and let's see if I can get some sort of shade. It is just very light. I don't think I have any use for this kind of bronzer. I think this might work as some sort of blush maybe if you're really pale, but for my skin tone I don't think it showed enough to be a bronzer, and I didn't like the kind of powdery formula. The powder itself is very silky. It's not rough or anything, but I just have no use for this, so I'm gonna pass it on. My camera ran out of battery, but now I'm back, and let's look at some blushes. I have 3 of these e.l.f. blushes. This one is in the shade Giddy Gold, and it looks like I've never actually used it. It looks like a really pretty shade. I'm going to swatch this in a little bit. Then I have it in the shade Mellow Mauve, and I feel like this is one of those classic e.l.f. shades. I've definitely gotten some use out of this one. And then I have one in Tickled Pink, another one of those classic e.l.f. shades. Let's see if I can do some swatching on these. I do remember really liking Mellow Mauve. All right, here are the swatches. There is that shade Giddy Gold that I'd never tried before, and I gotta say it doesn't really show up that much. It's more of like a highlighter shade. It was also very powdery. I don't know if you can see from here. I swatched it and it like went everywhere, so I think I'm going to pass this on. It's not something I'll ever get any use out of. And here is that shade Tickled Pink. It is very pigmented. I did really like it. However, I have a ton of shades just like it, so I'll have to think about whether I want to keep it or not. And then the third one, I had the Mellow Mauve. It is right here. It is a really beautiful one as well, kind of this pale mauvey pink. I have to think about this. I'm definitely not going to keep the Giddy Gold. It's not something I'll ever use. But I think I'm going to hold on to the Mellow Mauve and Tickled Pink just for a little bit longer, since they are really the shades that I do like. And the formula, I remember, it was not that bad. I'll have to put them into my everyday drawer and then see if I don't use them, then I'm going to pass them on. But I'll just test them one more time. I also have several of these contouring blush and bronzing powder duos. All of them had like a blush shade and bronzer shade. This one is the oldest, called Fiji Matte. It's got this kind of beautiful, slightly peachy blush. I don't know, it's really old. I can't get much out of it. And then a matte bronzer that I remember liking a lot. However, the texture is really grainy. These are really old, so I think this one I am going to let go of. It is just too old, and I have other shades that I prefer over these. The next one I have is in the shade Saint Lucia, and let's see what that looks like. It is, again, a bronzer, and I believe that's more of a highlight shade. It is definitely a highlight, and then there is a bronzer. This one is not as old, but these are definitely not the shades I gravitate towards. I could definitely use that bronzer though. But I won't be using this highlighty blush shade. It is not something that I gravitate towards. But I do like this bronzer. So I'm going to put this in my maybe pile for now. And then I have this one in the shade Bronzed Violet, and this was part of their Aqua Beauty blush series. I'm not sure if it's still in their selection, but I do remember them having different products in that category. And here is that Bronzed Violet. I feel like the texture on these blushes is very different. It's almost creamy. They're crazy pigmented. I'm not sure if I would get any use out of this one, but I think I'm going to hold on to them just because this one is so pigmented that I think I can use these shades in my collab looks. I sometimes do these kind of fancy looks, and I feel like I could definitely use these two shades on that. So I'm going to hold on to this one a little bit longer. I also have one of their bronzer palettes, and this one is the cool one. I really remember liking this one, and I think I am going to hold on to it a little bit longer. Granted, it feels really dry actually. I feel like it's probably gone bad. I can't get much out of these shades at all. Nothing is really coming out. So I guess that settles it. I am going to let go of this one too. I think it's gone bad. Also have another one of their bronzer palettes. This one is actually an illuminating palette. I remember wrong. Like, I haven't used this in a long time. I thought this was a bronzer palette for whatever reason, but it is an illuminating palette. There are 4 different highlight shades here, and let's see if I can get any swatches out of these. They are also quite old. Oh look, I think they definitely still pack a punch. There are some beautiful shades here. I think I'm going to hold on to this. I'm not sure how much I'll get use out of, but I think I will get some use out of it, so I might as well hold on to it. Those shades are really, really pigmented. I also have another illuminating palette, if I don't remember wrong. This is their Total Face palette. This one has blushes, I guess that's a bronzer shade, and a highlight shade. Let's see. There's the highlight, one blush. This doesn't have much of a pigment either. That one feels very dry as well, and the bronzer as well. I think I'm going to have to let go of this just because there isn't much pigmentation. It feels very dry. It's probably just so old. But I gotta say, this is e.l.f.'s prettier packaging, definitely, than the regular black one. So I can appreciate that one, but definitely I feel like it's time to let go of this one. Now that I think of it, I think I am going to hold on to this St. Lucia one. The bronzer shade still looks really pretty. Even if I won't use this one, I'll get some use out of this one. The last products I have left are all highlighters, and I believe these 3 are all from the same line, the shimmer highlighting powders. The first one I have is in the shade Rose Glow. Then I have Sunset Glow. And the third one I have is Starlight Glow. Now these I remember being really nice, and let's see if I can do some swatches. There is that first one. This one was the Rose Glow. Then this one was Sunset Glow, I believe. And then Starlight Glow. I'm looking at them. They all look really pretty, but I think I'm going to let go of this one, which was the Sunset Glow. It feels a little bit too dark for me. I am going to hold on to this Rose Glow though. That's the first one here. That looks really pretty. And I might let go of Starlight Glow as well. I have many highlighters that look just like that. This kind of pinky shade Rose Glow looks a little bit more unique for my collection. So I'm going to hold on to that and pass these 2 on. And the last one I have is an unopened coffee and cream highlighter duo. I think this one is a few years old too, and it was a collab between That's Heart on YouTube and e.l.f. And I'll have to open it up to see what it's like. It looks like I've never even opened it. That just is one more sign that my collection is just way too large when I discover unopened products that are at least like a year or 2 old. Now I have to say the packaging on this one is beautiful. It's probably the best one e.l.f. has ever come out of. This is the coffee side highlighter. It looks really pretty, and then the cream side, which looks really pretty as well. I think I am going to hold on to this just so I can get some use out of it. And I think this one is definitely too dark for me as a highlight, but I could maybe use it as an eyeshadow, and then this one definitely is a shade I can use as a highlighter. So I'm going to hold on to this for a little bit longer at least. I guess it's at the end of its life cycle since it is a couple of years old already, but I'll try to get some use out of it just because I spend my money on it. So these are all the e.l.f. products that I currently own. I also own a bunch of brushes, but these couple of brushes just represent my whole big e.l.f. brush collection. I'm not willing to part with any of the brushes. However, I counted that I am parting with 27 products from e.l.f. and then I am keeping 18 products plus the brushes, which I think is really good for declutter. So I'm letting go of 27, keeping 18 plus brushes. I'm happy with that. There's a lot of expired products here. I'm going to throw them away, and the rest I'm going to see if I have some friends or family who would like some. I would call this a declutter success because I am keeping way less than letting go. I have to say this collection was way too big for anyone, and I am glad that I am able to part with so many products. But I'm curious, if you have e.l.f. products, what are your favorite products from e.l.f.? I have to say currently my favorite are probably the bite-size eyeshadows. I know they're everyone's favorite, but I truly do enjoy them, and I love e.l.f. brushes. But I hope that you found this video useful. Maybe it inspired you to declutter your collection and see what you're still using and what you're not, and maybe donating items that you no longer use. But thank you so much for watching. If you are not subscribed to my channel yet, I hope you subscribe. And if you like this kind of declutter video and want to see more of its kind, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. But thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.